Thanks. Hello, everyone. My name is Guillaume. This is Thomann's Guitars and Basses, and I'm here today with Rabea Massaad.
Hello.
How are you doing, mate?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm glad that we managed to get this in last minute.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
almost thought it wasn't going to work.
This always feels so weird, though. Like the second hello.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm really glad to have you there, man. Oh wait, I had the sound on my phone. That would have been weird. Okay, just taking a second to realize what kind of delay we're looking at, seeing when the first comments will pop up, and the idea that I had is, as I told you, I'm trying to keep a theme like throughout these live streams, and I had a chat with Warren about home studio, had a chat with Chris about DIY mods for your guitar, that sort of thing, and you seem to be the person to talk to regarding effects and inspiration through effects, and considering the amount of videos that preceded with your brand new shiny board. And so yeah, I'm just going to start off with a few personal questions, and then we'll take some guys from the chat and see what's what. The first one, and it's quite a long one, is like I see you as a sound architect, same way as like The Edge or Steven Wilson and that kind of guys are, because the way you use effects is, you don't use effects on a piece of music that you have, but you write a piece of, that's how it comes through to me, and that's why it sounds so much different than guys like me who are going to write a riff and then think, oh damn, a trem would sound cool on this, and add the trem afterwards. So what's your thought process when you get I don't know, a certain type of effect? Are you just like going with the flow inspiration wise, or are you trying to give a purpose to that specific pedal?
I think, well, that's a great question as well. It's definitely like when you get a pedal and you start messing around with it and you start tinkering and start like just trying to find out some tones beyond the first few like newly licks that you might do. And then it's usually pedals, aside from like reverb and delay, which is my favorite kind of effects always, which I use too much of.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Never too much. It's never too much. Sorry.
But no, I mean, like, I think it's when it comes to pedals that are a bit odd, a bit weird, that they will inspire something, or they do something random within them. Let me think. Case in point, like the Game Changer Audio, the most recent sort of wacky pedal that I've sort of come across, and that actually inspired the new Tosca single, because it was just like, oh, this does a really cool thing that I can't get from any of my other pedals, so it just inspired a few riffs. And so exactly, to answer your question, it's always when it comes to just, it puts you in a place, it puts you in a mood, and you know, there are so many cool riffs that you can play with a normal kind of gain sound, and it's like, yeah, that's a cool riff, but as soon as you add like octave and fuzz, it suddenly becomes a theme as opposed to a riff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think there's a difference then, as like when you write music as the single guitar player in the band, if there's something else, if you're playing with Rob, or if you're playing with just another guitar player in general, is your approach to effects different in that way? Are you trying to make yourself sort of smaller, or?
Yeah, so in that respect, it's kind of like, because I'm one guitar in the band, there's an approach that's definitely derived from like that Nuno Bettencourt thing.
Yeah,
because he's my big influence, you know, like, and he was one guy that filled the space, you know, with rhythm and with the lead stuff. But then there was just so much intricacy in what he did. Now, obviously, Tosca is a far stone's throw away from Tosca, from Extreme, but it's like, but I think somewhere in that I had to try and do, like, I felt like it was important to do like riffs that were just riffs, and then like chord sections that kind of provoke a kind of feeling, whatever that might be, and then in between all that, like effects that carry and fill the space. Whether it be a really sparse guitar part or something more dense, but like, yeah, I'm trying to think about it like it should be a fat riff that's a repetitive thing to get people into it and nodding their head, but then also that needs to break out into something that allows the listener to kind of chill out a bit, because particularly instrumental music, and especially Tosca, can be a little bit abrasive, you know.
Okay. No, I see what you mean with it. I'm trying to keep an eye on the comments at the same time. It's kind of there's Luke who's got a Tosca tattoo on his forearm. That's really cool.
That's hardcore, honestly. I mean, thank you, but that is hardcore.
Hardcore. Do you even have a Tosca tattoo, mate?
That's crazy. Amazing support, thank you. I'm not, but that's like, whoa.
Yeah. I can't imagine. Sorry. So yeah, back to pedals, I guess. So we're saying that delay and reverbs are your favorite pedals.
I'm losing you. It's cut out for some reason. Okay, we've lost Guillaume. Okay, let me serenade. Shall I play something in between? Like a short musical interlude?
Yeah, sure.
How we doing?
I think I'm here. I don't know. Am I here?
Are you back? He's back. Yeah. You could have interrupted me at any point. I had no idea what was going. I was just like, I'm just going to play.
That sounded too good. Too good. No interruption there. Yeah. Sorry about that. Not really sure what's going on. The internet seems strong, but apparently not that strong. Okay. Well, we've lost. No, I'm back. I'm all good. Thank you, guys. We've got Butterman 321 here asking, talking about inspiration. Who have you been listening to? Anyone new recently? Anyone who's inspired you?
Great. It's always that question, isn't it? Now, and I'm trying to think of them. What have I been listening to recently? Really like the new Leprous record.
Oh yeah.
At first, I didn't, but then I listened to it more and more, and suddenly it became better and better, and now it's just awesome. So I really like that. Let me think. If I tell you what, if I just jump on my iTunes real fast, I'll be able to tell you what's been recently added, because that's usually the Joker soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
Because did you know that the guitarist from Agent Fresco, Toti, I think that's how you say his name, awesome band, is his sister did the soundtrack?
Yeah. Insane. She got an Academy Award for it.
Grammy for that.
And it was pretty incredible. Like that movie in general was insane, but the sound really drew you into something else.
And I'm a huge fan of film score. Like any film score, I'm a massive fan of that.
Same.
It's a big influence on like a lot of the Tosca stuff is film score generally. I've been listening to
favorite.
Go on.
Do you have a favorite like film score? A composer that's known for film score primarily?
Yeah, so Thomas Newman probably mostly.
Okay.
Mostly. Thomas Newman. Hans Zimmer, of course, because he's like a bad man in the world of film score these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, Thomas Newman is really good with those those curious chords that leave you hanging, but in a really inspiring sense. The best example of that would be, well, actually, it's funny because I didn't realize that I totally ripped it off on the first Tosca EP, but it was the American Beauty soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
And one of the interludes on the EP, someone was like, "Oh, it sounds, is that Thomas Newman?" I was like, "No." Like, yeah, it sounds just like it. Does it? Yeah, check it out. I went online and listened and went, "Oh, damn it!" But the idea being, it's to do like the over like a drone like that, He does that so much those kind of like curious, like spacious chords that are just a series of intervals that just interact with each other in such a beautiful way. So he's probably my favorite, yeah. And Route 12 is probably my favorite little piece that he's done, but it was for the Revolutionary Road soundtrack.
Okay. Yeah, man, that like the way you explain it and demonstrate it on the guitar was like, yeah, that's so you. That's definitely you.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to imitate him, so.
Well, it's cool. So you were going to say before that, sorry, I kind of cut you in there, your iTunes playlist.
Oh, yeah, no, I also recently rediscovered Professor Saxophunculus and the Mysteries of Rock, the Joe Satriani album.
Yeah.
It's just a great album. I forgot how good that album was. But then things like, what else have I been? A bit of Alan Stone. Do you like Alan Stone?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Polaris record.
Nice.
I wanted something heavy and angry, and that definitely provided.
Fill the bill, yeah.
Sleep Token. Been listening to a bit of Sleep Token recently.
Don't know that.
Some of it's great. I'm obviously a fan of the band, and I know the bass player, really nice guys. But there's one song in particular called Sugar, which it's such a good build to the end, and then it just drops, and it's like, that's just filthy. And then I would say Her. Do you know the R&B singer Her?
Yeah.
Yeah. Her record, I Used to Know Her, is a really, really good record. So all sorts of stuff, really.
Cool. It's cool that you went to a different genre by the end of it, because that was kind of the next point. I personally find most of what I would consider original in the guitar world just in different styles of music, and then trying to apply it to guitar with different effects, like that sub octave or like super droney heavy bass that you'll have in any sort of, trap or like whatever modern hip hop kind of a thing, and try and apply that to guitar. Do you reckon that's the way forward? Or that's one of the ways forward?
Well, I think a prime example of that would be, damn it, what are they called? It's gone from Polyphia.
Oh yeah.
So they're a prime example of going, here's the thing that's hugely popular, and we're really big fans of that. So let's see if we can do that with our guitars and drums and bass.
Yeah.
And they totally nailed it.
Absolutely.
I mean, I would like, I'm a fan, and a massive respect for, pushing the boat out in that area and stuff. It's not my first thing I would listen to, but I absolutely appreciate everything about it. And the guitar work is it's just all insane.
It's crazy.
Particularly Tim Henson, monster player. Yeah. Monster player. We hanged out last year, and had a really cool chat about like his thought process as someone who hates guitar driven music, and the way he goes about writing hooks on guitar. It's just crazy. It all comes from beats and hip hop, and then he's going to sing that small melody in his head, and that becomes the guitar. But it couldn't be further away from being a guitar thing, and then he turns it into a guitar thing, which is incredible. Like, it's really that makes sense. His thought process, that totally is what he's ended up doing. You can hear that. I think for me personally, like, I'm still a huge fan of riffs and rock and metal and dirty, filthy riffs and stuff. And I think if I wanted to explore other genres, it would be just not guitar like focused at all. Because what I like there is that what they're doing is going, I'm still going to play guitar, and I'm still going to, that's going to be the focal point, but musically it's going to be very different. Whereas for me, I think if I went down a path of trying different music entirely, I probably would put the guitar down and try and sort of, exercise the musical muscles in different ways,
Yeah.
Not to say one's better or worse. I'm just saying.
No. It's a different process. All right. Cool. Thank you very much for that. We have a cool question from Louis Coutelier, who I'm assuming is French. If he's not, I'm very sorry, but it sounds really French. About your inspiration process, do you think the amount of possibilities with modulars, fractal, axis, like line 6, all of them, is benefit to for you, or is it better to stick with one piece of gear at a time? Sorry, the phone is kind of far away. I'm struggling to read. So we're basically kind of tackling the option paralysis, I guess, subject there.
So I know, for me personally, when it comes to things like modeling, Kemper, Axe-Effects, I've never tried an Axe-Effects really. I've played for a few chords through one, but I've never actually had one to try. So I couldn't tell you how technical it is. But one of the things I do know is that when it comes to things like Kempers and Helixes and all of them basically, is that they all sound amazing. But it's a really quick thing for me personally to lose the desire to delve into it, because it's the interface, as good as they are and as easy they are to use nowadays, and they're so well designed. It's like I'm stuck in the middle at 12 o'clock. Push the bass down, push the treble up, turn the gain up a bit, and then dial in my, you know what I mean? Like that. That's just. And so, like in Frog Leap was really good. It was a baptism of fire for me because I have to use a Helix.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm saying that in a way like, oh, I really don't want to. It's I love using that gear. It's so much fun, and it does the job incredibly well. But it was like, now I have to learn it, and now I have to understand how to do all of this stuff. And so I suppose in a way, ultimately, they're all amazing. And I think, but for my personal taste, it comes back down to valve amps, pedals, passive pickups.
Yeah, I think, no, I get that. I think if we're talking about inspiration, which Louis, by the way, confirmed that he was French. Thank you very much. I think the idea behind this is not like ranking them as tools. Is more like, if you're looking for something to do a job that you already know, like something you know what kind of sound you want, and you just want to access it real quick. And in your case, it's even more, you're going from a banjo to drop a baritone or whatever. Exactly. Like you can't do that in real life. But I think in terms of inspiration, it makes a lot more sense to kind of fiddle like physically with the one thing, like golem position over your pedal board, and kind of try things out. I mean, to me, that's a more organic.
I think it's because there's a fight in there. There's like a very short beginning, middle, and end process to getting it to do what you want it to do when it's an amp and pedals. Because you're limited by what you've actually got, right? So if I'm there with the Kraken and in my situation with my pedal board and amp, for example, I look at it like that. This board will do everything that I can possibly think it to do, and it'll be stretched in some areas, but outside of that, I've no idea what it's capable of. But I know it's not as capable as like an Axe-Effects or a Kemper or a Helix. So in that, when you were talking about a very specific sound that you want to find and dial in, that's where, for me, the analog, if we call it that, let's just call it the analog thing, wins, because I can find it so much quicker than if I have to jump into menus and have to adjust this, that, and the other to get it. But that's just because that's what I'm used to. No, for sure. I get that. Is Phil pulling pictures of your board on the stream? Oh, that's cool. He's a magician. I should be able to. I've got a second camera, so we can do close up if you want to see it. But there's no.
Okay, got some cool people. Oh, Poo Ninja. Poo Ninja.
What a name.
He's the commander in chief, man. He's always there. Always. Legend. Amanda is here too. Hi, Amanda. All right. Oh, that's a cool question. Haha, Alexander. What was the first song that drew your attention to guitar effects? The first one where you thought, I can't do that. Like, that's not human.
Okay, sorry. Say that again. I thought I had a spider on my head, so I started to get really worried. I'm scared of spiders.
Is that a regular problem for you? Is that something that happens?
No, I just felt something crawl down the side of my face, but I think it was just my hair. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
That's all right. What was the first song that drew your attention to guitar effects?
The first song? I mean, it was probably an Incubus song, but I don't want to just be that bland about the answer. I must have to think about it for a second, but it probably was Incubus, where I really took notice, right? Where I actually went, oh, what is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was probably Incubus, and it was probably the first album I really got into would have been Make Yourself. So the Warmth, things like the Warmth, and even though there's no real effects on it, but like Stella, the guitar riff in that is very weird sounding, and like the phaser at the beginning of when it comes and stuff. Like there's some really, really cool sounds on that. So I think that would have been one of the first.
Cool.
In fact, what's the song? It's off. Is it A Certain Shade of Green? Where in between each riff he plays like some really weird stuff on his pedals and then goes back to it. Or Glass off Science. There you go, Glass with the DoD gonculator or whatever. Water pedal.
That's cool. I was kind of scared you'd say U2 at some point. I was like, The Edge. I was like, not again.
No. Honestly, with all respect to U2, my parents never listened to it, so I was never brought up on it, and I've never really listened to them. I know the big songs, the famous stuff, and of course they're incredible and all that stuff. But I never really paid much attention to them. I'm sorry if you're a U2 fan.
No, I'm not personally offended. Hopefully, we didn't offend anyone in the chat. We got some cool questions. They're not really on topic, but they keep coming back. So I feel like we're going to have to address all of that regarding your setup, your DAW to capture the sound live stream, and for your videos. I assume it's not like completely different, like from one another.
How I'm doing it now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I'll definitely be doing a video on it in more detail on my channel, but basically what you're hearing is, so the way I've set it up is I'm running my Universal Audio Apollo interfaces, and everything you hear goes through that. And then very kindly from Matt Knight from Boss sent for me to try, and it's insane. It's the Roland VR1 HD AV streaming mixer. I'm not sure how new it is, but essentially it's got HDMI ins and mic ins and lots of cool built-in software for fading transitions and stuff. And I'm sending a headphone mix from my interface, so you're getting all of my mic ins summed to the headphone channel.
So cool.
Straight to this. So that's what you get to hear. And then the feed is literally the cameras I use to film my YouTube videos, HDMI straight into it, and then that's what you see. So, and then you can fade. You can do crossfade. See, look. It's so smooth. But yeah, I'm going to do a video on it because it's very, very cool. And I think it's a bit of a game changer in the world of streaming, really.
Definitely. Yeah. Considering the amount of thought I had to put into finding an XLR ABY box just to go from my vocal mic to my guitar sound. It's like, but then again, like you find it like practical thing, then it's pretty cool. And so what amps are you running into it right now? Is the dual Kraken rig?
They are
there. Oh, yes.
So, and you may have noticed that I'm really excited to say that I just got a Friedman B100 Deluxe to review. It's just sat there just waiting to be just slayed with gain and filth.
Oh, man. Have you played one before?
No, so this is the thing, right? Obviously, I know Friedman. Dave Friedman's an incredible amp designer, but I've spent very, very, very limited time actually playing Friedman amps. So this will be, and it has been, the longest I've actually ever played through one, and it is insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, so you're hearing the dual Kraken rig. This is currently like a crunch with the Strymon, Big Sky, and Timeline. But it can do really heavy stuff too.
Yes, please. Heavy.
Yeah. Basically, it can do a bit of everything. I've spent a lot of time perfecting it in this rig in the last couple of weeks because we've all been stuck inside, of course.
Of course, yeah.
So, but as you can see, so one is running into the Torpedo Studio and one into the Tube Amp Expander.
Yeah.
The Friedman's currently into the aux, but I've not got that hooked up yet.
Are you going for like a wet rig in the future? Is that everything happening?
I'm aware that it's complete overkill. I'm not saying it's not. It's just I think there is definitely a use for it. Because I definitely use stereo rigs live. I always have, like for the last 6 years. So it's like, it's very handy having a couple of the load boxes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Adam D says great tone.
Thank you.
I don't know if is it the real Adam D?
Oh my God, can you imagine if it was?
That would be so cool, right?
I'd
Are you the
definitely
real
tick that
Adam
off the
D?
list.
Please let us know.
Yeah, please tell
great
us if you are.
tone.
If you are, then I have to play one of your riffs.
Adam D knows Amanda, but I don't know if this. In the meantime, Osmosis. I'm sorry. Hey, Rabea, are you running both amps wet dry or stereo? So I guess.
Yeah, you're hearing true stereo. So literally, one amp is hard pan, left one is hard. In fact, the torpedo will probably be on your left, and the tube amp expander is on your right.
But both amps are set pretty much the same. If you're switching channels on one, it's going.
They're hooked up with MIDI right now.
Yeah.
So because the Super Kraken did the MIDI thing and finally got it all hooked up, I had to get a MIDI splitter from the board. So two MIDI cables out of that into the amps, and then they just really easy to program. You put in what you want and hit store, and it just works.
Yeah.
I should know. It's like I don't know that because I mean Martin did all the MIDI side of it, but it's really nice to actually do it in real life and get it programmed. So that was cool.
Sounds great. Whoa. It's got like 50 comments at one there. Sorry. Adam D, I'm just some dude who attempts to play guitar. That does not answer the question, man.
No, it doesn't. That's ambiguous. That could still definitely be Adam. Come on, man. Tell us.
Yeah. Okay. There were some specific questions on pedals and some... How much does the look of the pedal weigh in your decision to have it or want to tweak it? Or like it's always a fun question when people ask about this, but in fairness, I love my guitar and I love it so much 50% because it's pink.
Yeah.
So like I feel like it does weigh into it.
Well, with guitars, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, just totally. And I think with pedals, I'd be lying if I said it didn't count. I think we all would, but at the same time, you would go to it because it looks cool, but if it sounded like crap, you put it back on the shelf, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's that little bit in between. And genuinely, there's two of my favorite pedals are literally the Buffalo Effects, which is a gray box with a sticker on it, and then the other one is just a white. It's the Cooper Sonic, which is just a white screen print, and they're not flashy at all, but. Then again, when you see the timeline or the Volante or something, and it looks so sleek and wonderful, and then it sounds as good as it does, then it's the whole package, right?
But that's the thing that kind of interlace relationship in between the looks and the sound. Like a pedal like the Clone Centaur is the ugliest pedal on the market, but because it is so hyped and because it sounds so good, everyone now kind of identifies. You know, you've got all of these boutique pedals that kind of go that direction, super minimalistic regarding like design and stuff, and. That's where, but that's more of a philosophical thing.
Yeah, but I also think that ultimately, I usually ask the question. I'm like, well, does it sound any good to myself? Or to somebody that said, check out this pedal, it looks amazing, right? And I would go, yeah, but how's it sound?
Yeah,
I'm always that guy.
It's more of a practical relationship to pedals regarding that, definitely, compared to a guitar, which is like if it inspires you, it doesn't have to inherently sound that good. Like I don't know. That was a good question though.
That was a good question.
All right. Do we have still no answer from Adam D? I'm just like refreshing for that right now.
Yeah, once we find out and it is him, then we'll just end stream. It's like we're done.
Yeah, exactly. There's like we've done what we were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Okay, Phil first, then sound. A bunch of questions about Tosca as well. I guess some of them touring-wise, which will postpone for now, I suppose. But music-wise, you guys been in the studio recently?
Yeah. We went into the studio to do one single. Basically, this year, the back end of last year and this year, the band everybody just got really busy. You know, Dave designs with Chapman Guitars, does all the guitar designs nowadays, and they kicked off. They had way more stuff to do before NAMM, and then Ben has his company Musicism, which is teaches stuff online, and they've been filming lots of courses. And I've been doing just like the frog leaps, just all sorts of stuff. So we started to struggle to find time to actually be in the same room for like an extended period of time. So then we decided to just like, why don't we just book some studio time and just make ourselves get a song going? Not force it, but definitely just like put a bit of pressure on by going, well, we have to be in the studio this time.
Yeah.
Just for one song, just to keep it fresh. And so we had new material to play, because I'm really conscious of like, I always like to be progressing. So it's like we released Fire by the Silos in November 2018 and we're in 2020 now. So it's like, I know albums take a long time to write, and all my favorite bands, you know, that's not mentioning names, but some of them take over a decade to write, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And I'm not saying we're like them, but at the same time, you know, I think there's a line somewhere, and I'm like, if you can just drop a couple of songs or like a single or something in between the next record, then that's really cool, right?
Yeah, even for yourself, like even if you know it's not going to be out before a while, or it's just like for your own sanity, and I'd say like state of mind, it's such a relief to kind of get it out of your system and move forward to something different.
Yeah.
Even just a one song at a time. But Luke comes back with another great question. Do you approach writing baritone Tosca stuff differently than the other drop C or standard scale guitar? They definitely have different vibes, maybe outside of the fact that they're tuned differently.
Yeah, well, to an extent, because obviously, you know, part of the reason for getting the baritone sig was for it to feel very similar, you know, like being a six string and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But inherently being so low and moody, it evoked like a darker approach to the sound of the songs. So like the new song as well that we've written is on the baritone as well.
Yeah.
But it's just like Abba Mason and When Genghis Wakes from the last record is like the darkest moments on the album. And that's probably because going so low, and when you play certain chords low, they just sound really haunting and sinister, and I think I just really wanted to push that out as far as I could at the time. So
yeah, right. But okay, in that sense, then when you have a riff in your head, do you then know if it's going to be a baritone or a standard riff, or is it something that you figure out by just trying?
It doesn't even get that far. It's like I won't be right. I'll just if the riff comes up on that guitar, then it's for that guitar.
Okay, yeah.
And that's the end of it, because like it wouldn't, in my head, it's like, well, I wouldn't have written it on this guitar if it was meant for the other one. Do you know what I'm saying? I like sometimes you go, oh, I wonder what that would sound like in A, drop A or whatever. But very rarely do I listen to it and go, yeah, that works because it was for that tuning. You know what I mean? That's what the tuning sort of drew out of me trying to write a riff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, not to get too hippy dippy on it, but
no, for sure. No, I get it. I've had both scenarios while having like extended scale instruments, and by just having it like a capo on like a regular guitar. It's just like, okay, I wrote it that way, and then I'm started to record it, and I'm like, that sounds good. And then you try something different or different tuning. It's like, holy yeah, there it is, you know. Yeah. And that's just a different process.
It's a good question though.
Definitely. Thank you, Luke, and thank you for your answer. All right, I'm waiting on. I don't want to wait and just say nothing for new questions. Can you give us like some different ambiences with your rig?
I can do that.
Thank you so much.
That's a substantial amount, isn't it?
That trails.
Yeah. Like I say, I haven't played today, so this is... just waffle, really. Nonsense. That's why that's all I ever play these days.
I get why. I do. Did the revamped board inspire new things already? Like, does the way it's organized and wired? Because these are all pedals that you had before. Sorry.
Yeah, except for the Volante got put on the board.
Yeah.
With an expression pedal, and that's like an instrument in itself to learn. How to, because you can program the EXP pedal, you can program the expression pedal. I'm thinking about it like I'm reading it out.
Yeah.
You can program the pedal to control a specific thing, so like feedback or echo level, or like with the wear of the tape. So you can literally get it to do whatever you want. So, or multiples of that. So it's kind of like trying to figure out where it works and where it can fit into current songs, and then inspire new ones. So there's plenty of stuff on this board that's already. I've designed new patches, new banks and everything that are just like this awesome one, which I just have to show you.
Yeah.
This is officially the best sound on my pedalboard.
Oh, man.
This one. How cool does that sound?
That's insane. What is that?
That's the Keeley Synth 1 with an expression pedal.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm blending it with the crunch on the amp. Some EQ.
That's such a good pedal. I love Robert's reaction when he saw that your pedal picture on Instagram, and he was like, "Dude, you use my stuff?"
Yeah, I know. Like, come on, man.
He's so genuinely awesome.
He's such a lovely guy.
Yeah.
And, needless to say how good he is with sound and guitar tone. But it's one of those things where on top of that, then just a legend.
Yeah.
A nice dude. And that pedal, as soon as I plugged it in and played it, I went, well, that's going on the board.
That's definitely the kind of out of the box thing. Try and get something new.
Yeah. It'll definitely do like some cool top lines, because you can obviously change the sound, the wave shape. So currently I've just got it set to be as abrasive and as angry as possible.
Yeah.
Because I like the sound. But like when I get in a room with a cab, because obviously I've not been able to leave the house. So I've got this pedalboard back, and it's been as good as it is to have it rigged up. And like, I'm not complaining, but like, I want to try it through some cabs,
Yeah.
I can't crank these amps I'm in a terrace house, like on that side is someone's bedroom,
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, it's frustrating. It was good timing for the board, though, I would say.
It was definitely good timing for quarantine sessions, like, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Now I'm desperate to hear how some of these sounds that I've designed through my studio monitors would translate to a speaker cab.
Yeah.
Like the low end and like some of the EQ settings that I've made and compression and stuff like that. So
yeah. But I think we just got to a point where it's so accurate that it's, within a mix, or like in a band context, it's going to be different. But like through a cab, we're almost to a point where the cab is just going to make everything slightly better.
Yeah, for sure.
And
you'll feel it more.
That's it. Yeah, because I've been playing with the D20 here. It's same scenario. I've got neighbors all around, so I've been doing everything with the headphones and like figuring out sounds for videos and stuff. And got to a video room, plugged in an amps, like that just sounds better. It's like that's what I had in mind, but that's just better.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a cool question. Again, Luke, you're on fire, dude. Thank you so much for your questions. Would have assumed you and Dave would have synced the synth 1 pedals in that section in Prayer Monga? Or are you using it for different parts? Filthy synth wave.
Synth. Oh no. So Dave, when we recorded that song, we didn't have the synth one. It didn't come. That pedal didn't get released until after the album was out. So Dave is doing that on a. I can't even remember what pedal it is. He's got an expression pedal plugged into. I think it's the synth sound in the MS3, the Boss MS3.
Oh, right.
I think that he's controlling a sweep function on that. And he did anything like that kind of sound that you hear in any of the Tosca stuff or live is Dave. It's not me.
Yeah.
But now I've got one as well. So
double synth.
Yeah.
Oh, Steve from Boston is here. Hi, Steve. Sorry, mate, I didn't see
Legend.
you. Yeah, Steve's awesome. Hope you're safe. I hope you're well, my dude.
Likewise.
Oh, yeah, that's insane. That's insane. Yes, it was insane.
Shall I plug in my Strat? I might do that.
Oh, yeah.
We're all Strat fans around here.
Woo!
What's that? I don't even know what the sound.
Okay, that's another question then. Do you have special patches in your board for Strat sounds and humbucker sounds?
No.
No.
Very luckily, I don't know if it's the amp. Well, I do know because every time I plug the Strat into a Kraken, I've always been blown away that it actually sounds really good because you wouldn't think it would be designed for that. So I don't touch anything, and
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
It just sounds really nice straight away.
It sounds so good. Every time we used to play through V40 for a long time in the video studio and went to, I think it was just like the demoing the Kraken or something, and both Chris and I was like, this is the best crunch sound, like, and to this day still one of the top crunch sounds ever, and it works with everything. No, I guess because I've seen like a lot of people saying like you need to kind of add a boost to every patch if you're using a single coil.
Yeah, that's true. But then again, you know, there's a lot of gain in the amp, and you got two masters. So if you were in the middle of a set, you were doing that. Yeah, I'd understand it'd be a little more difficult to gauge how much of a drop you would have. But yeah, you'd have to. I wouldn't know because I've not gigged a Strat in any of the bands I've been in. How crazy! I'd love to play a band with the Strat.
Yeah.
I really wish that we could, but I don't have any music out there or any bands that are playing music that warrants playing a Strat.
Yeah. Do you use it in the studio though?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, your cleans, your layers, some of the, if you want to pick out some picked sections and just add a bit of like a sparkle on top, you just double it up with a Strat or a Tele or a Gretsch to get that. You know, that's why I wanted to get those guitars. Obviously, it would be great to gig with them, but the main motivation behind being able to collect those guitars was for the studio.
Yeah.
So like, because in the times we've been in the studio with the bands and like I get to play, like, the reason I got the Les Paul was because when we recorded the album, the guy at the studio, he had a Les Paul from the same era, black one, custom, and I just fell in love. It was like, and it sounded so good for the record, you know. So then I went, I get why I need a Les Paul, because I didn't have one before that, and everyone was saying. So it's the same thing with like a Tele or the Gretsch thing. So now that was the motivation behind it.
Yeah.
It's expensive motivation, but
yeah. It keeps the motivation that keeps you motivated. You know, you like keep working, work towards it. Like,
there's nothing more motivating than getting a guitar on finance and going, oh man,
yeah.
gotta get it now.
Oh yeah, it's like make it worth it now.
Yeah.
Okay, we have some more cool questions. Do you have other guitars? Yes. Writing. Oh,
sorry.
Man. No, dude. Like anytime, just like cut me off whenever. I'm so good. How does your writing process differ between writing ambient prog for the Tosca, I guess, and more classic hard rock metal, assuming Dorje, which is still kind of
I mean. Yeah, great question. And it's kind of like the delineation stylistically between Dorje and Tosca is smaller, I'd say. It's still, you know, you can hear there are crossover there. But still, the riffs in Dorje are definitely leaning more towards hard rock.
Yeah.
Whereas Tosca, they're meant to sound jarring and weird and like unorthodox, or at least more metal or whatever, you know. Whereas if I'm writing a rock track, I don't know. I think before getting into heavy music, I don't know about you, but when I was growing up trying to learn guitar, I was listening to the bands like Extreme, like Metallica, like more classic stuff, because that's the stuff that was so famous. So when you're learning, you kind of just it gets shoved under your nose,
Yeah.
In a nice way, like, I'm glad my dad got me to listen to Extreme and Zeppelin and bands like that. It was like it's education, it's a rite of passage. But I think somewhere along the way, like now when I think about trying to write a riff like that, for example, if I just try and make one up on the spot, what we got?
Nice.
So that's some sort of strat tone. Now, if I was going to do like a rock riff, it would be more pentatonic based, wouldn't it? With that kind of sound.
Yeah.
Or you could do the whole like. You know what I mean? Just a big G.
The 80s want their riff back.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying though? Like it's somehow it's programmed in that's the sound that you would do if you were trying. And then, that's off the top of my head. And then I'd get more weird with it the more I'm trying to actually write it. And then there would be the weird stuff that ends up going in there, weird chords, stuff like that I just have to throw in,
Yeah, no, I get that. It's like you have something that's cool and you're like, what if I take that finger off?
Yeah, for sure.
And damn, I had something. Had an okay question. I lost it. Oh yeah, sorry. That was regarding the grinding gear demos, albums. Was that always an intention for you to not just riff out on a demo and do what 90% of other people will do when they demo something? It's just like give you me included. I'm definitely guilty of that, and just like doing the same riff on different pickup position and that kind of thing. But like when you demo something, you make a song out of it. Like it's still the most musical experience possible. And was that always a thing, or at some point did you just realize, okay, that's what I want to do with this?
Well, I appreciate that. I think no, the reason that Grinding Gears happened was because a guy at the NAMM show pretty much told me off because I didn't release the songs.
Oh yeah.
He came up to me and he was like, this was like 3 years ago, whenever the first one came out, and he was like, hey man, I really, really like what you do. I'd really love to have the songs that you've put in your videos on like Spotify or something. Like I think it'd be really good if you did. Why haven't you done that yet? And I was like,
yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Like I guess I just didn't think anyone would care, and I'm not really the demos. They're just songs that I've tried to write in like an hour to put at the beginning of the video. Just like for the purpose of contextualizing the product, right?
Yeah.
And so I didn't have an emotional connection to those songs. Some of them more so than others, but the point was more it was to serve a purpose, right?
Yeah.
And I tried to explain that to him, and then he was like, "Yeah, but I want to listen to them when I'm driving to work, and like, people want to do that, and like, why haven't you done that? Like, you need to go back."
I don't care how you feel. Just give me the songs. I need the songs.
He was like, honestly, dude, like, you need to go back to the UK. You need to put them all on, compile them, and put them on iTunes, man. Like, honestly, you need to do that. And I was like, okay, like in the nicest way possible. Like I'll never forget that, because thanks to him that I actually did it. But so that's why that happened. And then I honestly thought some of them are a minute long, like some of those songs, and I just didn't think. I kind of felt a bit weird about that being the first kind of like solo thing to go out.
Yeah.
In a way, not because, I think more because of the fact those songs were for those things. It's not the same as like writing a Tosca song. I didn't feel like.
That was my next question, though. Any of these riffs that at some point got repurposed and it's just like, oh, I'm onto something, and that kind of became a song, a Tosca song, or a Dorje song, or they were just demo riffs, which is crazy to me. That's insane.
Yeah, like I swear, like it's just like Horizon Devices Precision Drive. I knew it had to be progressive metal kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Because it's to show it off. So you just it only needs to be 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes long. So somehow in your brain, you're not putting the pressure on yourself creatively to get it. You just. That works. That's cool. All right.
Yeah.
And then when you listen back to it now, I'm like, actually, they're pretty cool. There's some cool riffs in there.
Oh, yeah.
But at the time, it's just like, well, whatever, it's just, it works.
Yeah, definitely. But I was curious about that because I think everyone should do that first. Like that's definitely the best and legit way of demoing anything is to put it in a musical context because that's the only context in which it's going to exist afterwards. And well, the thing is, like sometimes I'm sitting in the video room and we're jamming with Chris, or we're doing this, or we're demoing that, and you come up with that one sentence or that one lick, and then it kind of, it might just become a thing. I thought like maybe like you have a sorting hat for things that are going to go into grinding gears and things that are going to go into Tosca, or like are meant to become something more than that.
They yeah, no, to be honest, no, that's they
great.
Just come out and then they get for whatever, like in the same way you were talking about the tuning being baritone or like drop C.
Yeah,
like, same thing. It's just the riff just comes out in the moment for whatever it's needed for. I know that again. That sounded really hippie. It's not meant to. It's just how it is.
It was just meant to happen. I get that. I definitely do. Okay. People are kind of drifting there. There's a lot of talk about guitars. Like, what's the guitar that got you started play? I guess which guitar did you start with?
That would be my dad's. My dad's 79 American Strat. Yeah.
Oh, there's worse starts, are there?
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, but then I dropped it and broke the blade switch.
Oh.
Well, actually, it wasn't me. I was playing it and it was on my guitar stand, and my sister's friend knocked it over. But obviously, because I'd got it out of the case and put it on the guitar stand, I was responsible for it. It was totally one of those. Now I think back to it now, and it's one of those where like your dad wants to be like, but like couldn't be. He was like, if only he knew how expensive the guitar was and how valuable it is to me. But I didn't, I was a kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the first guitar that I had, and I got to use. In terms of actually, my first guitar was the Washburn X50, but I started playing on my dad's Strat, just strumming chords really. That was the beginning, and then I borrowed a Les Paul Studio from my friend's dad, and that's when I started trying to learn things like Metallica. So I was very early on,
Yeah.
So.
Okay, guitarists say nice beer. Thank you. Hi guys. Hi Jan. Steve is talking about Vola guitars.
Vola? I've never tried them. I was at the NAMM show and I took a look at them and they're stunning.
Yeah, they're really gorgeous. Had a go at them with, I think it was Robert Baker. I think like he's got a few of them and they're really good guitar. Okay, because the idea of the chat was to focus on soundscapes and inspiration, and I think we've covered got a bit of ground on this one.
I think so.
That's a really nice question. We'll see if we can end on that note. But Lexi Hope asks if you have any advice for songwriters.
Well, firstly, like, if you're talking about lyrics, like, I have no advice because I'm terrible at writing lyrics. That's why I don't sing or write any lyrics, because I cannot do it. Or at least I tear my own lyrics to shreds. But musically, advice for writing songs, I think it's really important to have a hook. Not in the vocal. I'm talking about the music. There's got to be something that pulls you in. And I'm not the biggest. I don't always practice that. What I'm saying now, like some of the Tosca stuff is not memorable, but it's like I think it's really important to have like something memorable in the song, whether that's the riff or the chord progression or the top line that you add. And I think it's really important to keep the listener engaged. And it's little things in details like in arrangement. So like if you've got a first verse and it's got a vibe going, then you have a bridge and a chorus, pre-chorus and a chorus, then you come back to a second verse. It can't be the same as the first verse, like in terms of there has to be some other rhythm going on or some new layers going on or something to raise the momentum. I think I really want, every time I try to write something, I'm trying to pay attention mainly to like tension and release. So when the song is getting to listening to a point, is it going to take them to that point, or is it going to push back again and then we're going to build up again and then And it's always a case of doing that, keeping the listener on this kind of like path rather than just keeping it stagnant for a bit.
Yeah.
And whether that tension and release comes from a vocal, like through the lyric, if the music's quite sparse and the lyric is at the front and we're listening to that and that's giving us the tension, or in the music, you know, how can that be done? You know, close hi-hats make everything feel pinned down, whereas open ones give you a little bit more chaos. They give you a little bit more like things are picking up, you know? It's little things like that.
But it's a really good point that tension and release, that it's not just because we're so used to having like a verse, chorus, bridge, solo, and done.
Yeah.
And like that's something that's been done so much, and trying to like, exactly, just like build up these no, not yet. And then you know, it's really cool.
But even in pop music, you hear it nowadays, like the way that the songs are constructed is always to serve a purpose of when you hit the chorus, it just takes you, and then that's what you really focus on, and that's the bit you remember.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's a release. Like when off the top of my head, just thinking about pop songs, whether it's Taylor Swift or Justin Bieber, whatever it is, there's some level of it builds you up and then it takes you, and then, you know.
Absolutely. I got way into Billie Eilish in the past like month or so, and I've been almost listening to just that.
So, you know, I had no idea who she was until like a month ago, and then I started paying attention, and now I'm actually like respect. She's ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
She's really good.
And that's the same kind of thing. It's just like, tension and release. I couldn't phrase it any better than you did, so I'm not going to try. It was really good advice. I hope Lexa, I think it was Lexi who asked the question, though. You enjoyed that answer. All right, it's been an hour already.
Wow.
Messages. Thank you, guys. All right, what do you say? We say goodbye and you play us out?
Say goodbye and I'll play you out. Okay.
Sounds good.
Yes, I'll try.
Awesome. Well, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the chat. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for the questions. And stay safe. Wash your hands. Be good. Rabea, before you... it's weird if I say goodbye to you now. We're going to talk afterwards. I get some extra time.
Yeah,
we get some extra time anyways. But thank you so much for your time, man. And
no problem, man. Thank you for asking me.
We'll do that again soon.
Yes, we will. Do you want me to play now, or?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Is that okay?
That was awesome, man. Thank you so much.